keyboard, a note on the keyboard, and then they would like, oh, okay, and then we would just hit play and then hit record when we got to the spot.
Okay.
To guide them along. But he wasn't playing along with them while they were singing. He would play so that they could kind of get the idea of what goes on, because when you can sing like them, you would, and you know how to adapt to the chord changes and the key signature and everything, because they were all geniuses.
Right.
Because keep in mind, they were used to doing all this singing church songs. They could sing any song you could think of.
Yeah.
They could sing the phone book and make it sound good.
Right.
Bob Jones on 2nd Street. They could make anything amazing. I was like, God, you don't even need to write anything. You bitch didn't have him sing it.
Right. You mentioned that there were people coming through during the making of the record. You mentioned Missy and Mary J. I'm sure Andre Harrell was present at some point.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Could you talk a little bit about some of the folks who came through and maybe those experiences?
So we would have once we were a little further into the record, there would be people coming through, some of whom I did not know at all, and it would just be like a bunch of girls or something, and maybe some of their friends, guys. And but then after a while, then it was kind of obvious that some of these people weren't just people for them to have an interest in other than work, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
It wasn't recreational. It was more of like, okay, these people might be artists, but they were so young. I didn't know who they were at the time, but it was, I knew, like, oh, this is Missy Elliott, and of course, like a year or two later, you're like, oh shit, that was Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
Before anything huge happened. So Missy was there, definitely. Usher was around.
Wow.
I mean, there was lots and lots of people around. But, and also remember that, see, Al was a superstar, so there was people around with Al. So, Kim Porter, I met Kim Porter with Al when she was with Al back then. You know who Kim Porter is, right?
Oh, absolutely. The lyrics, so you're having my baby is about her. Yeah.
So, which ended up being, Puffy ended up being with her, but, so one of the later, Mary J came along later. I don't remember if she was there in the midst of the Jodeci record, but she was definitely there soon after, if not during it. And, but the thing that was interesting is that, so we were like, maybe halfway into the record or something, and I hadn't seen anybody from the label. And then one day, label guys come in. The label guys, we're talking the suits. So it was, three guys who were dressed really sharp. One of them was Andre Harrell. And I think the other two guys were from higher up from him at MCA. But these guys were they were like the president of MCA or something. Like Andre was the president of Uptown.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, and everybody's like, oh boy. What's going on? Like we had done something that caused them to come to the studio. Put the hot dogs and the beer away. So it was, everybody had to clean up, and then these guys are there, and I think Al was around for part of this, and the big concern was that Forever My Lady, which was an Al tune, was way too mature for Jodeci to do, if you can believe that.
Wow.
Hindsight's 2020, but Jodeci they weren't 18, none of them were 18 yet, and maybe 16 or 17 at the most, and they were really worried that young kids putting out a song about having babies sent a really bad message about their generation, and it was the wrong message. And the label they weren't sure if they wanted it, and I really think that they were thinking about taking it off the record because it really kind of everyone's like, oh no, that's a really good song, oh man, everybody kind of got really serious, and they were worried that was going to get knocked off, but obviously it didn't.
Right. Yeah, because there was definitely controversy over them singing that first lyric that I spoke of earlier.
So you're having my baby. Like, whoa! And you're 16? Really? Yeah. Yeah, but that's a testament to how mature Al was with everything. He's like, yo, so you're having my baby. Like he's like Mr. Cool Dude, writing all this mature stuff because he was mature.
Right.
He was a grown man, and he was having kids, was having a baby. He was already a successful artist. And he also had Benny Medina was his manager. Or no, Benny Medina was still at
Warner Brothers.
I think Benny might have been his manager then.
Yeah.
So Al would be like, get Benny on the phone. We need to talk about this. They're thinking about taking my song off the record. Whatever I need, whatever. So Al was the man creating somewhat of I will say a light blueprint for Puffy.
Right.
So then, towards the end of Jodeci, if you want to skip to that for a second, towards the end of that record, that's when Puffy came around. I'd never seen him before that. and Jodeci went from being a bunch of crazy, giggly kids to being even more serious and being styled by the newly emerged Puff Daddy. And he started them with the baggy clothes and the low pants. And they were all wearing the baggy clothes, flashlights, and they look like they broke out of prison or something, and they liked it. And I thought that was a little weird. But it's like, I personally thought that was a weird image for them to start off with, but what do I know? I'm just an engineer. But that's what he was, but he made them all wear the same thing. They never had worn all the same thing before.
How did they dress before Puffy came around?
They would dress in jeans and t-shirts and sneakers.
Okay.
Like kids. They just dressed like kids. And the other thing is that they didn't have money when they were there. They were all living in they'd been put up in a house somewhere in New Jersey. And they were driven in and out of the city every day, so they were kind of kept under wraps. And they were itching to get out. And we were working right in the middle of Times Square, is where Hit Factory Times Square was, right on 42nd